Dirty balconies, forgotten birthdays, missing items. We just finished a cruise with Explora Journeys on Explora I from Istanbul to Athens. And while we had a great time overall, there were some issues. And in this video, we're going to go through those so that you don't have to. Let's get started. So we'll start with the problems. The first problems we came across were in the cabin. Now we got onto the boat probably about 12 o'clock, and about 2 o'clock while we were eating lunch in the Emporium Marketplace, which is the buffet on Explora I. Also the best restaurant, by the way. You can check that out in another video. We got the call that the rooms were ready.
They've been working tirelessly to turn over your suites in time, and I'm happy to announce that the suites are now ready for you to go into. So a big thank you once again.
And so off we went. 10 minutes later, we were walking into the cabin, 6049, and straight through and onto the balcony to check out the view. The problem is that it hadn't been cleaned. The balcony, as you can see in the video, had a big stain on it. Now this could be because it had a bit of an alcove, and that's one of the reasons it makes it a really good cabin. But that stain looked a couple of days old at least. And also there was, I don't want to say it, but I think cigarette ash on the balcony. Now the person next to us was smoking a bit, but I don't think they were in there. And it looked like the cabin, possibly, I don't know, but there was cigarette ash or white little bits of dirt all on the floor. Now give them credit, when we told them, they did come and clean it up quite quickly, but it wasn't the best of first impressions when we walked into the cabin. Now problem two was an oversight problem. We went into the cabin, we checked the balcony, we went back to the phone to phone up and say, hi, this place needs a bit of a clean, because actually the table was a little dirty as well. And when we got to the phone, we could see the guest passengers' details before us. I guess they got off in Istanbul, were still in the cabin. Now they weren't like lying on the bed, but they were next to the phone in a little folder. And it means that whoever had come in hadn't actually changed this over. Our stuff was there with our name on it, but also they'd left the stuff from the previous person. Now we disposed of that and there was no issue. But I don't like the thought of them leaving our details after we got off 6 days later. So problem number three, and we're still in the cabin in Explora, was that they give you a lot of free drinks. I mean, all over the ship it's included, but in your cabin they actually give you a bottle of champagne. Now, there's 2 of us in the cabin. There were 2 names on all the literature, and there was 1 champagne glass. Now, this is such a first world problem, it's crazy. Or the thought is, if there's a bottle of champagne in there, that you can crack open the champagne and give yourself a little toast, because here you are on one of the best ships in the world. But there was 1 glass. It's not an issue. The boat has champagne everywhere on boarding day, but it wasn't, again, what we expected from this luxury premium line. I kind of need to do this. This, as I'm sure you've seen on other YouTube videos with Explora, is a free gift that we didn't get. We actually got 2 in the end. I'm not sure if we're supposed to get 2, but we got 2 in the end. When we went into the cabin, like I said, there was a champagne glass missing and balcony issues. I think that our cabin attendant had too much to do, to be honest with you, because it wasn't just an Explora Journeys bottle that was missing. And this is a first world problem, but you can't really get this stuff any other way. They give you tote bags, little tote bags that you can put your swimming things in and go to the swimming pool. Or when you go onto a shore excursion or you go into the town, you can put your things in, put it on your shoulder and show off, I guess. Look, I'm on Explora Journeys. Look, I've got too much money, or I haven't got too much money because I've spent it on this cruise. And there's a notepad with Explora Journeys on it, and there's a pen, except there wasn't a pen, and there wasn't a tote bag, and there wasn't a bottle. And that these things I knew about the bottle because I'd seen it on other videos, but the other stuff we actually found out what other people get in their rooms because we didn't get it. We had to ask. And that actually goes on to the next point. Now, number 4 is, I think, more some advice than a problem, but we'll call it number 4. And in the bathroom, or next to the bathroom, you do have your Dyson hairdryer. Not much use for somebody with my hair. And you do have your lovely full-length mirror, well lit, and in the bathroom, you've got a heated floor, and you actually have some shower caps and some sanitary towels. And that's it. There was nothing else. There was the shower gel attached to the wall in the shower and in the bathroom. But there was no toothbrush, which I know it sounds silly, but we actually expected it because ours was getting old and we'd left it in the hotel in Istanbul. So we think, okay, we'll just use the one on the boat for a week. There wasn't one. There wasn't soap. There wasn't ear cleaner things or anything like that. We asked about that, and it turns out you have to ask for them. So it was a bit surprising having to ask, because I always thought that if it was luxury, they're supposed to think of things before you can, not wait on you noticing it's missing. Totally weird problem that happened. Our luggage was in the corridor, so we came from the Emporium lunch that you get when you get on the boat, and we walked down and we saw our luggage, and I was going to grab it because it's, you know, it was 20 meters from our room, and the steward came out and said, no, I'll bring it. And then, okay, fair enough if that's what happens. And we went back to the room. Went into the room to discover the balcony and the missing items. And we wanted to unpack. And one of the big reasons that I actually wanted to go on a cruise is because your hotel room goes with you. So you're not constantly living out of a suitcase. So we wanted to get the stuff in the wardrobes and settle in, shall we say. And then 10 minutes went by. I think I stuck my head out the door to see if it was coming, and I was going to get it, but they seemed to be very protective of it. And then 20 minutes, and then 25. And then I actually went out because we were kind of done looking at the cabin and wanted to go explore the ship. Went down the corridor to grab it, and somebody came out and they were like, no, we'll do it. And I said, well, it's been a while. And then they brought it. Problem number 9 is the one that's perhaps bothered me the most about some of the issues. This one I don't think is a first world issue. I think they messed up, I'll be honest. And they send you the form, like I said before, that you can fill in, do you want the hard mattress or the soft mattress? But the first question or the second question is, are you celebrating anything on board? Now, me, I don't chase this sort of stuff, but my wife does like it, and it was her birthday the day before we got on. And I told them this back in October or March, or whenever we filled in the form. We went in August this year, 2025, if you're watching this in the future. And I said, celebrating a birthday. Now, it was the day before the cruise, so I can kind of accept that possibly they just ignore it if it's the day before, but the cruise was because of the birthday, or one of the reasons was because of the birthday. And we got on, and nothing was there. There was nothing in the cabin. Not even like a little card or a little happy birthday on the bed or something, which I'm going to be honest with you, the hotel in Istanbul, which was a 60, 70 euro night hotel, actually gave us free cake. That wasn't $1,000. That was like $90 a night, 10 times cheaper. And they gave us stuff. And I'm not chasing freebies, but some sort of acknowledgement of that when they ask the question. If they didn't ask the question, doesn't matter. But they asked the question, and I let it go, and there was not a lot we could do until we went for dinner. But you saw other people having like their birthday songs sung to them, or, hey, happy birthday, and we were sat there a little bit like idiots, to be honest with you. Or I did, because it's my wife's birthday. It makes me look like a fool. And this is the one that stung. If you're gonna ask, and it's the same like the luggage, if you're going to ask the question, then you've got to do something about it, because what it did, more so than the YouTube videos that I watched about this boat, was it raised the expectations, and then we got disappointed. And it made me feel a bit bad, actually, because you don't expect that. You don't expect someone to make you highlight something and then totally ignore it. They dropped the ball there, and I never received a proper explanation on why. So those were the issues that we had inside the cabin. There were a few more, not as many, but a few more incidents on the boat during our cruise that happened in the restaurants, and that's what we'll do now. Now, it was 3 restaurants in that we had we had problems in. There were Phil Rouge, the Med Yacht Club, and Anthology, which is the upcharge one. Now, in Phil Rouge, that was the first night. We didn't know you could go to these restaurants. We thought it would just be the buffet, but you can actually book when you get on the boat. It's what we did, and we went to Phil Rouge. Now, it is boarding day. I think it was a big boarding day. A lot of people getting off and a lot of people getting on, because though the food was good, again, Emporium Marketplace is a step above all of the restaurants in our opinion. The food was good. The service lacked somewhat, and I don't usually care about service. Basically, somebody is bringing you food. I'm always happy with that. But we got snapped at. We got rudely, to be honest with you. Right at the end of the meal, over a dessert, they recommended a dessert, and then they brought us the wrong one. And when we questioned it, they snapped at us. And enough on the first day after we'd had some problems to make us stand up and walk out the restaurant. We just weren't in the mood on the first day for them to be rude to us for that much money. I mean, for any money, to be honest, but for that much money, it left a bitter taste, and we didn't go back to that restaurant because of this, even though they do breakfast. And the other one was, I think they were trying to be nice, but it was Anthology. And in Anthology, we got it included as part of our deal, as part of our cruise fare. Some people get cruise credits, some people get free excursions. We got the Anthology meal. Now for me, I don't do fine dining. My wife is perhaps a little bit more into it, but normally I do like just good, wholesome, home-cooked food. And this is very, very fine dining. But the food aside, I'll do a video on that later. They kept telling us 2 or 3 times, oh, this is included in your fare. Oh, you didn't pay for this, it's included in your fare. And they did this with other diners around. Now, I don't come from a particularly wealthy family. And at school, I used to get free school dinners. And you get a little blue token, you choose your food, and you give the token to the staff, the dinner lady or people there. And everyone knows that you are getting your dinner or your lunch paid for. And that's what they made me feel like, because they were telling us, oh, you're not paying for this, don't worry about it, it's included. And I knew this. We had some issues booking it, so maybe that's the reason. But they did make me feel like I was back in that queue in school as the poor kid who couldn't afford to buy his lunch in a €500 or $500 restaurant. Don't do that in future. People around you do not need to know how you paid for your meal. So just to finish up, we'll do a very quick bit on the before and after cruise situations when you're sending emails to Explora Journeys. The beforehand, make sure they get your name correct. There's an issue with middle names that I had that they couldn't put on there. And then also check if you've got any free or included stuff in your cruise that they actually don't charge you. We tried to book Anthology, the restaurant, when it was included in our cruise, and it took a couple of emails for them to understand that, oh yeah, it's part of your package. After the cruise, you will get a survey, which gives you the chance to highlight all the great work that the crew have done. And I strongly, strongly recommend that you do this, because there are great members of staff on that ship. There really are. We didn't get that survey. It took a little bit of time to get that because they said it would be sent automatically and it wasn't. And then it took some cajoling, some prodding to get that survey. And it made me annoyed enough that I put in the complaint of this video, all the things in this video. And they offered us, I didn't want it, by the way. We weren't after this. I was after what they're going to do to make it better. But they offered us $200 US each off the next cruise. Now we can't, or probably won't use that, because we're not the sort of people who can afford to spend $5,000 to $10,000 US twice a year on a week's holiday. As good as that holiday is, we don't have that big of a wallet. If we can give it somebody else, that would be superb. I don't know if we can. If we could, that would be an awesome gesture from Explora, that we can help somebody else experience their great cruises and their great service. I'm going to think that we probably can't transfer it to somebody else, but I will ask. On the whole, we totally recommend this boat. It's great. You've seen the other videos. It's beautiful. The food is good, better at the top, but good all over. The pools are great. Some of them are only about this deep, but we totally recommend it. The itineraries are a little bit different, so it's not going the same places as all the others. Yes, you should, if you have the means and the time, you should definitely try Explora Journeys. We would totally do it again if we have the chance. And you'll be pleased to hear that's all the issues that we faced on Explora 1. Now, there was a few, but I think possibly some of it is our expectations being here and reality being somewhere here. And we'll know better for next time. Hopefully this video has helped you know better for this time if you're going to take an Explora cruise and you can avoid some of these issues. If it has been useful, please press like and consider subscribing. We do have lots more upbeat and much happier Explora 1 videos on the channel. If it has been useful, great, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.